Dearest, gentle listeners, you are listening to the Ladies Bridgerton, the talk of the town. We are your effervescent hosts, your neighbourhood-friendly Kiwi Tash from Middle Earth, New Zealand.
And Patty, Regency romance enthusiast, currently writing her strong, confident, intelligent, independent, and dependable era.
Settle down onto your favourite settee as we delve into the lives of the elite and illustrious ladies, lords, and royalty of the ton. This Bridgerton podcast is two friends talking romance, symbolism, Easter eggs, and trying to think how to do this. Deep. Like our
I was going to say,
is it
like our internet connection.
Like our internet connection today, we are back to 90s deep.
I know.
We've had so many technical issues today trying to get this going. So in reference to that, that is our deep diving of the day is robotic and a little.
Yeah, how did AOL start back in the days? Like,
psychotic and robotic. Into the connections of our favorite characters. We cover both book, TV series, and notable social media, and therefore will contain spoilers. I really actually wanted to do like from the book singers spoilers for our podcast of the day from the book version of Felicity, but deep.
I was going to say, based on what we're talking about today, I was going to take the tone of her voice and go deep, you know, where she's like, when a man inserts himself deep.
Yeah. in his bridges. Okay.
Dearest listeners, the Ladies Bridgerton felt so awful for excluding Portia in the side stories sequence last week. Side stories sequence. I completely missed that T last week. That we decided to give her her flowers this week and not only analyze her scene with Varley, but also deep dive into her as a character, her possible past, her possible traumas, and what she feels her obstacles are. Today is Portia's party. All things Portia, all the time.
Portia's pity party.
Portia's pity party.
Because it is definitely a pity party that she is hosting for herself. And it's now time for pot snacks. Pot snackity snacks.
Let me see if the sound works.
Snackity snacks.
Pretzels, Cheetos, salsa, guac, Crystal Cheetos. I'm just stating the hard facts. If you love, give me snacks.
Give me snacks.
Give me snacks.
I love that.
Give me snacks.
Just a little happy for every week.
What is your pod snacks of the day, Miss Patty?
Okay, so I had visitors this weekend. So I'm basically doing a visitor food cleanup. So I sponsored my own snacks because I sponsored them for everyone else. But I'm finishing up a Domino's pizza that we had gotten from the pizza place yesterday, and there was a few pieces left. And I'm eating the last half of the Handel's ice cream. Shout out Northeast Ohio, you know Handel's. I got their orange sherbet that we had shared, and I'm eating the last of that. And just in case we go a little bit, I also brought in banana for potassium.
Patty needs all the nutrients to put up with me.
Oh no. I know you need all the sustenance you can get today. I have had if anybody knows Anna Green Gables, you know what this means. I have had a Jonah day. I've had such a Jonah day.
Poor Jonah. Today I have my McDonald's iced coffee, and I'm actually snacking on Pringles today, salt and vinegar, because I'm actually the biggest fan of the sour cream and chive, but sometimes I like to mix it up if I'm wanting something a little bit more. Not that salt and vinegar is spicy, but my son calls it spicy.
Well, it does something to your tongue like spicy, I'm assuming.
Yes.
With his his flavor of the tism. He might have a little bit of the similar that I do, where certain flavorings cause a texture that kind of, because there's studies that show that autism is linked to hypermobility, which you know very well. We talk about our neurospicy and our hypermobility all the time. And part of potentially having Ehlers-Danlos, which one of the symptoms I believe I do have Ehlers-Danlos is because certain textures tear my mouth apart.
Yeah.
So I can see where he would think it's spicy because it's affecting his tongue like that.
Salt and vinegar affects the mouth.
Yeah, because I love salt and vinegar, but if I eat too much, it tears up my mouth. Like one of my favorite cereals of all time is Waffle Crisp. I will eat that until I feel like my mouth is bleeding, and then my mouth hurts for days. What are you eating besides the chips?
Just the Pringles. Just the Pringles.
That's it. You need more vitamins than that.
I've got coffee for my vitamins. It comes from a tree, therefore it's a fruit. All right. I do believe it is time to make haste into today's episode.
Wait, we have to do news. Bridgerton news.
Well, I was going for a David Edinburgh because we're about to analyze. We're going to analyze a Portia in the wild.
I just wanted to say it's official. Lukey Newts is done with House of McQueen. So bye-bye, Lukey Newts. I'm glad I got to see you.
Also, other pod news in relation to Lukey Newts. I believe that they did a screening for the cast of the first 4 episodes of Bridgerton for season 4. Because Luke Newton was obviously filming. He was still doing House of McQueen and therefore couldn't make it to the first screening. And he seemed a bit sad about it. So I'm like, if they've done like a first screening for the actors, like surely, because I saw Sarah was saying that she still thinks that it might come out like Augusty time, which if they're this far onto it already, I'm hoping they're going to give us like a surprise early drop, like announce. I mean, this is just all wishful thinking, but like they might announce it on the Valentine's Day special that they do every year and announce, hey, we're dropping it this week, you know, and that could be quite a good intro to it, but they would really have to start the PR world tour pretty soon if they were going to do that.
Wouldn't it fit Benedict's season though if they did drop it like a lightning bolt and say, yeah, it's Valentine's Day, you guys get the first half of season 4 tomorrow. Right? That would be nuts.
Yes. Unlike Benedict, love was not a lightning bolt from the sky.
I want to know how they're going to play that out since they already had Colin say that.
Yes.
They're just shit up. Like, he's like, it's not a lightning bolt. And Benedict will be like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It was for me.
Yes. What was my other? I had something else to talk about, but I forgot it.
Yeah, I that was the big one for me. And I know there was other things I wanted to talk about, but I literally saw that post right before we started recording. So it's all I can think about. Like and Luke Newton, if you ever listen to us, I just want to say thank you. Like, it's very rare times in my life. Has there been a situation where I was able to go see or witness something that to me felt great? Like, he's current pop culturally. He is, you know, like, I equate it to, we all know Rent is my favorite. Back in 2000-ish, 6 or 7, I'm not sure which. I can't remember. I've lived a long time. Rent was doing another, for their 10th anniversary, they were doing another national tour, and it was going to start in Cleveland. And they were bringing back the original Broadway cast, Mark and Roger. Pardon me. This was a big deal to me. My brother, and thank you to my brother, I'm going to show this. I'm very much grateful for this experience, and it was huge. He got us tickets in the throw. Again, another moment where I saw Anthony Rapp and Adam Pascal sweat, spit, sing, all of it, right? So I equate it to that. Like, it's such a big deal to me. Like, Luke Newton is a large part of my life right now, entertainment wise. Like, we talk Bridgerton every week, right? Like, this is what we do now. And I got to see the man who created that character in person, and it was a major point in my life. So, Luke, thank you. And sorry, sad to see you go, but I hope this means that you are going. And the reason your stint was so short is because we are finally getting season 4 promo.
And shout out to Di as well for tracking. I mean, I know that she was already halfway over there, but like, she made that leap to go and see Lukey Newts and support our boy in person as well, all the way from Australia.
Same day flight in, same day flight out. Like, if that's not a puddle
Girl
jump,
hopped on
once
her
in a
fastest
lifetime
kangaroo and got her butt over there.
she's like, you know, airplane broom. I don't care how I get there. I'm gonna apparate. She apparated in, she apparated out.
Yes, and thank you to obviously yourself and Anne and Kay and Dude for letting me share in the experience. Like, obviously, I wasn't part of it at all, but I still got to sit in the review episode with you.
I wanted you to be there, so we had to make you a part of it somehow.
Just need to make me into a life-size pillow. Now, I do believe it is time to analyze the two ladies of Featherington House.
Okay, so I've been holding on to this ever since I made the intro, so I'm excited to say this. We know that mirrors are important to this season, and this scene itself is very important. You're gonna have to, I mean, it's a good thing you trunicate. But we know that when somebody's sitting in front of a mirror, they tend to speak the truth, either whether it be about themselves, toward another person. What they're saying is the truth. Why? Varley said in the beginning, because the looking glass doesn't lie.
Does not lie, yeah.
So what I found interesting here, considering we just had the mirror scene with Colin and Penn, and granted, that was a much different type of intimacy in a scene, but that is the two people. Colin sees Penelope eyes wide open, fully who she is. Yes, he doesn't know she's Whistledown, but we know through the arc of the story that Whistledown has always been a part of her. Like, he's seen it, he just hasn't recognized it. I think that's what he has not recognized, not his own feelings. But here we are in a mirror scene where the one person who sees Portia eyes wide open completely and loves her because she stayed through the potato famine. Okay.
The potato famine of 1814.
The potato famine of Featherington House of 1814. She stayed through thick and thin. Varley is Portia's love of her life, basically. Like, she is that person that sees her for who she is. So this mirror scene is just as intimate. It's just not physical. And I think that that's important because I think we learn very important truths about Portia in this scene.
Yes, a lot.
That obviously Varley already knows. And we see just how close this person and her housekeeper actually are.
Well, and let me just say as well that for those who may not know, like, Varley is the head of the household. And part of becoming the head of the household is sort of like the biggest promotion that you can get, because it also means that you no longer have to do kind of the dirty work of the house. It's like when you go from being on the floor to moving up to manage, like, she is essentially
you're supposed to be observing and supervising,
managing, where she stuck through it, where she was basically, I think at one point she was probably one of the only staff remaining in the house, and I would say she actually stayed even without wages, with the knowledge / faith in Portia that Portia would find some sort of way to come back out on top again. She had faith in Portia that no matter what Portia ever goes through, that girl is a scrapper and she will find her way back on top. So she stayed knowing that, hey, if I show my loyalty and my support, she will come back on top and she will make it right with me financially, you know? So I think it's really, really important to acknowledge that Varley stayed even when she had to then take on pretty much every role in the house. She would have been shining the shoes. She was making the food. She was changing the bed. She was probably dressing the girls and Portia, making the potions. And when I mean potions, I mean like the skin creams, the makeup, she was literally running every single thing in that house. And like, those girls are needy and they have high expectations, and they are used to having a lot of staff who do a lot of things for them. And they are not the kind that are like, oh, well, we've got less staff right now, so we will expect less. No, they are not that sort. I mean, Penelope wouldn't have any expectations, but we can even see that the two, you know, Philippa and Prudence, who are now married and should be out of the house and therefore be less work on Varley, are still coming in with no consideration that they are putting extra work on Varley, who obviously, yes, in this season, she's got more staff again. But in last season, where Philippa got married off, she's still coming into the house and being a pest.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to kind of preface this with like how ride or die Varley is for that family, that she was probably willing to work for them for no money. Like, she knew she'd get back paid, but like in this like current time, she was probably not being paid at all. So this scene,
God, no.
This scene takes place at roughly 26 minutes, 20 seconds straight after the Eloise and Kate conversation. And we kind of even though it's only a really, really short scene, we kind of wanted to take the opportunity to analyze these ladies together and potentially, if we get the time, just Portia and herself. But I think as a duo, there's so much to talk about between them. So like, because Varley walks into the room and she can see that Portia is looking extremely forlorn. Like she's staring into this mirror, really like
I think she looks contemplative.
yeah, she's taking a long, hard look of like, what steps have I made in my life? Like, what decisions have led me to this point? And and you can tell that she is seriously ruminating on what Colin has said because it's the first thing that she brings up. But we also know when, especially when looking in a mirror, what they say and what they are feeling aren't necessarily always in line. What sort of struck me as funny in this moment is that we talk about how much Penn's story follows Cinderella's story, but this moment gave me kind of a weird flashback to Snow White and how the evil queen would stare into the mirror wanting to see the beauty of Snow White look back at her. And this sort of fits a little bit the scene as Penelope is now getting everything that Portia has ever truly wanted and even things that she didn't even know that she wanted, which is a love match, a well-connected and loving family, and financial stability. So, like, it kind of
once we dig into the things she actually says, and we look at some lines she's said in previous seasons.
Yes,
I think she had the potential for a love match. It just wouldn't have been a secure one.
Yeah,
and she made her choices, and I think, or those choices were made against her. Kind of like, it seems like in Bridgerton, especially for the women, that choices get made much like she was going to make the choice for Penelope. So I think she's taken a long, hard look at the fact that she was about to do to her daughter what had possibly happened to her. And she was thwarted and she's dealing with that, but also surprised, not knowing how to be happy that her daughter, because I think there's a little bit of envy there.
So, you know how people talk about survivor's bias? It sort of reminds me a little bit of Portia because, okay, so like, let's say I'm explaining to my parents, hey, I want my son to be rear-facing in the car seat for as long as possible because that's the safest way. And not saying this is just a completely made up scenario. And they say, oh, well, we didn't even have car seats back in the 90s and you all turned out fine. Survivor's bias. Just because something turned out fine doesn't mean it's
But did you die?
But did you die? Doesn't mean it's best practice. So I kind of feel like because Portia is so in survival mode all the time, she's like, but I didn't die. Therefore, the way I'm living is great, clearly. And therefore, you should want it too. And by her daughter not wanting what she has had, she takes it as a personal insult because she's a narcissist. Yeah. So she can only ever see it as an attack. That Penelope was willing to give up the security of Debling for a love match with Colin, and she can't fathom that because why would you give up so much money just for a love match? Like, that's not stability.
What's interesting here is we look at too, the Featheringtons have always had this expectation of loyalty, but they manifest it differently where we can't tell anything that happens in the house. We can't tell outside of the house because what would people think kind of thing. And Portia raised her children to not put themselves first, to put the family first, to put their survival first, because she always has. And here Penelope went out and put herself first. And Portia just can't, because if Penelope would have stepped back out of the situation and thought about anyone but herself, she would have chosen Debling because financially it would have helped everyone.
So, not just that, but with Portia being the narcissist he is, I feel like she is truly trying to protect Penelope in this moment because the way that I don't even think it's just narcissism. I think it almost borders on borderline personality disorder where things happen and she twists it in her head to change the narrative of what actually happened to make herself seem innocent in it. Like she cannot.
Narcissists do that too.
Yeah, but not on the same level as borderline. And the reason that I say that is because I think that because let's think back to season 1, marrying a Bridgerton, Marina marrying Colin, and Marina's not even actually related to the Featheringtons at all, and Portia's still excited about the match because that is creating a connection with a high-standing family with good financial stability, good standing in society, all that. She was excited about that match. Fast forward to season 3, and she's like, why would you ever give up Debling for a Bridgerton when actually the Bridgertons, although probably less wealth, or not probably, but although less wealthy than the than the Deblings, that they still were an incredible match to make in society. Like anyone who's not going after a prince is pretty much like would be excited to make that match. There's very few people at the time that would ever think they're above the Bridgertons, but Portia has twisted it in her head that the Bridgertons caused this whole Marina situation, and it's not a secure match because what if Colin decides to treat you like trash just as he did to Marina?
Oh, sort of. You just triggered my brain. So I was sitting here waiting my turn patiently to say this first, is that in season 1, she wanted to be connected to the Bridgertons, but she never ever said she wanted any of her own children to be married to the Bridgertons. She wanted a connection. I think Marina worked because A, it would take care of the problem, right? Marina being pregnant. And B, she would be aligned enough with the Bridgertons to use it to her advantage, but not actually connected to the Bridgertons where she would have to live up to their standards because they are loyalty, they are pride in yourself, they are decorum at all times. And you know, how they are in society is not who she wants to be. She likes being who she is. She likes being a little bit crude, and she likes being a say it like it is kind of person. Like she's that busybody neighbor in any like 1950s through 1980s sitcom that, well, I just tell it like it is. You know what I mean? Like that's her. And she's proud of it.
She is Petunia Dursley.
Yeah.
Always I love the description, and I think it's the philosopher for the Americans it's Sorcerer's Stone, for everyone else it's Philosopher's Stone, where Harry basically says that she has a giraffe-like neck because she needs it to be long to poke her head over the fence to spy on the neighbors, like be a busybody.
Right.
Like her body has physically adapted to her needs.
And it's a good thing that his magical powers were not mental, because that would have just happened. I mean, he had enough stuff that just happened, but that would have been bad. It
would have been hilarious.
But so I'm saying, like, she wanted to be aligned with them, but she didn't want to be connected to them. She did not want any of her own kids to marry. So that's part of the reason that he was an unsafe match in season 3 for Penelope. But she doesn't know what occurred in Bridgerton House with Marina and Colin. As far as she knows, Colin found out. Colin ended the marriage, not the family, Colin. So here she's watching her daughter now be engaged to somebody that she thinks potentially is fickle, because what most people do, if you look at everybody else who lives through being dragged through Whistledown, did Daphne and Simon split up over anything Whistledown said? No.
And if we actually look back at Colin's words, if Marina had just said, "But I love you," if that's all she had said in that moment, and
she'd told him herself first,
Marina ended it. Even if Colin's family had not, she would have, because she didn't love him. She was only using him. And as soon as the ruse was up, she's like, well, I no longer need you. Therefore, I can tell you, this was never real for me.
Yeah. And I think she was feeling rejection because she doesn't know who Whistledown is too. That was just a very messy time. But she never told Portia about that interview, about that interaction. So Portia has no idea. So Portia thinks that Colin is fickle, and when things get rough, he's gonna up and truck. He's gonna boot himself out of there, and she doesn't want that for her daughter.
Bridgertons will do anything to keep their good standing.
Yeah, so I think that she knows they are who they are as a family, and she links them all with her because she created them, she raised them. So she is putting them in the same vein as her, that they are, you know, have you ever seen like shows like Shameless, or
maybe like 2 episodes,
like Shameless, and even kind of like Roseanne and the Connors? They're from the kind of poorer side of town, but they're proud of it. Like we're all part of that. Like our family is this, and this is just who we are, and they're not. You have those shows where people are poorer. They don't have a lot of money, but they're salt of the earth, and they give you the shirt off their back. That's not these folks, okay? These folks they're poor, they're broke, and they're doing what they got to do to get by. That's the Featheringtons. If the Featheringtons were a modern day TV show, they'd probably be like Roseanne / the Connors, because when Roseanne left, it became the Connors, where they're kind of proud of how
scrappy,
bottom of the societal barrel they really are. Right? They don't see themselves climbing out of their financial pit.
Mm-hmm.
And but they're in it as a family.
Mm-hmm.
They're in it together.
As long as we have each other, we're in.
Yeah, but no. But as long as we have each other, we still know we're just, eating box macaroni and cheese mixed with tuna for dinner. But we're in it together, which means we're not suffering it alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Portia thinks of the family. And she understands, though, that the Bridgertons are the opposite side of that, because she sees them as privilege, where she has no privilege. It's so difficult for her to just make ends meet. And this is kind of, and I probably said this on a couple of pods ago on the day of the conversation, but I had a conversation with a friend where we were talking about our different upbringings. And for me, I was very envious of them, because it seems like their foundation was so solid from their upbringing that they were able to continuously build on it. And now they've built this amazing thing, and that is their life. And for me, like, and I'm not excusing my childhood for why everything's wrong now. Like, and not everything's wrong. That came out wrong. But I mean, like, it's more difficult for me because I don't have that foundation. I'm scrambling just to keep the foundation from crumbling. Like, I'm fixing the cracks when I see them. I'm seeing a cinder block or a stone that's lost its integrity, and I'm pulling it out and I'm putting a stronger one in, and I'm fixing the mortar. Like, I'm still, even though I'm trying to build on top of it, I have to find where it's broken and fix that at the same time, whereas his is solid and it doesn't need fixed. So Portia is still working on keeping the foundation solid beneath their feet, but the Bridgertons never worry about their foundation because it is solid. Everything they're doing is just building
up
on top of it. Yeah, they get to build up while she's just keeping them afloat.
The Bridgertons built on solid. The Bridgertons built on flat ground. The Featheringtons built on a hill and wonder why it keeps wobbling over.
Well, and it's. I mean, if you look at, say, two people they buy a house, two houses next to each other, same time, the houses sell for the same amount of money. It's on the same street. It's the same kind of prestige. But once they move in, inspections get done, and the one house, the half of the foundation's gone because of a flood that nobody told them about, right? But the other house is perfectly good, and all they have to do is put up new drapes and paint and make it their own, and it's beautiful. But the other people have to spend $50,000-$60,000 first to fix the foundation. And that's kind of the situation here. And Portia, whereas Penelope's gotten away with, because she's invisible, because she's not seen, she's gotten to build an empire for herself without anyone knowing, but she wants to be seen. The one thing she wants more than anything is for somebody that she loves to see her exactly for who she is and love her still. And she finally gets that with Colin. But Portia kind of doesn't want to be seen, because she knows that sometimes to survive, she can't make the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
She can't make the choice that she knows a Bridgerton would expect her to make. So she does not want to be connected. And she struggles with the connection, mainly for that reason. She is afraid, and she knows how Violet is. Promise. She knows that Violet is that empath that kind of sees all, her little sphinxy self. And she's going to talk. She's probably sitting there like, don't talk to me in riddles. Like, just tell it like it is. But I think she's worried about the Bridgertons openly seeing them and how they live now, and looking down on them and judging them. Like, she's prejudging them for judging her, and they haven't even judged her yet. You know what I mean?
Oh, they judge her for sure, but not for the things she thinks of.
Right. They judge her for what she puts out in the world, and she doesn't think she puts anything bad out in the world. Well, she thinks she hides all the bad stuff.
And so that's the thing that we want to talk about today, is when we say that Portia makes certain choices as a mum and she isn't always the kindest mum, it's never coming from a bad place. She is doing what she thinks is best. And that's the thing. You can have a parent and you can have 3 kids, and your parenting style may suit 2 of those kids perfectly, but one kid it does not. It is very much reliant on who your kids are. And so obviously you're supposed to adapt your parenting style to meet each kid or whatever, but we are
If
also
you
who
have
we
the
are.
spoons, and I just don't think
And
Portia
that's what I'm
has the
saying.
spoons.
We are who we are to some degree. And I think that Portia is now sort of realizing that this parenting style may have worked with her two oldest daughters. And she is sitting there looking in that mirror, being like, what have I done? What steps have I made? How have I treated my daughter to the point that she doesn't even want to tell me that she's engaged because it's not a happy thing to tell? Like, she doesn't want to share in that news with me. What have I done? And then I think she's actually thought back and thought, it's not what I have done, it's what I haven't done. I have not seen her.
Well, and I don't mean to make light of it and laugh at this, because for Portia, this is really an awakening kind of moment. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my daughter does not, like, her other two daughters continuously confide in her. They are
Mm-hmm.
very open about, like, think about the conversation they had in the drawing room about what they've done with their husbands so far, not even the dining room yet. And then that conversation they had in the dining room was very personal.
Yes.
And Penelope has not told her mother anything. She found out about the marriage lessons through Whistledown.
Yeah.
She found out about Debling when he showed up at the house.
Mm-hmm.
She had no idea why he was there. She was straight up confused. So confused, she called her two daughters to come over, witness it with her, and then confide in them that she really has no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, her confidants are her two older daughters. She has spent, and it finally gets to the point where she finds out Penelope is married in Whistledown, when she should have found out because somebody should have come to her, in her mind, to ask for her. Yeah. To ask for her hand. She's finding out in Whistledown. So A, she's thinking compromise.
Yeah.
And Whistledown found out. B,
and I think she was terrified that she was compromised and that Colin could still back out of it because she doesn't have any faith in that family.
She thought Penelope was completely compromised and that Colin was doing the right thing. But because Colin didn't stay true to Marina at the time, when it got found out, then she worried that Colin knows now, how long is he going to stick around? Because, she believes that her daughter entrapped him. And when he finds out it's entrapment, how long is he going to stay? So she had in every scene, every human being has their motivations and has their things they're working through. And all of them are valid. Like, we learn as humans, we're having it. You and I are having an interaction right now, right? We're talking about the show, but we are communicating together, and you have your perspectives and your fears and your everything. I have mine. And a lot of times we don't even bring up, we just have our conversations and then we end. And then, like, the next hour, we're going back and forth like, oh my gosh, I wish I hadn't said that. Or, oh my gosh, I interrupted you too much. Or, oh my gosh. But all that's valid. Your experience is valid. Portia's experience is valid. She has real reasons, real experiences in her past for why she thinks these things. In the moment, with editing, with the writing in the scene and stuff, and with the history of how Penelope has been overlooked, we tend to side with Penn, not to mention the fact that she's the female lead for the season.
Yes.
We tend to side with...
We see her perspective on it more.
Because we're meant to.
Yes. And that's the thing, is people forget that the way that things are filmed are done very, very specifically. And like, you can have, say your best friend comes to you and they share their perspective of how something transpired that upset them. I'd say 90% of the time you're going to side with your friend because you can hear their emotions and how it upset them, but you're also not seeing the other side of it, of how someone else may have taken that interaction, how someone else may have been upset. And if you were to listen to, so I mean, you and I are really, really good at looking at whole picture. And sometimes people don't like that though, because they're like,
God, no.
just side with me. Just tell me I did everything right.
Yeah,
Side with me.
I have to ask people, like, I have asked my friend, are you wanting me to give you perspective or are you wanting me to give you support? Because they're two different things. Like, if you just want my support, I'm going to be like, rah, rah, sis, boom, bah, screw them. They're terrible people. You were right. That's what you want. Like, as a friend, this is what you want. I'll give you that at first, but still, I'm going to give you perspective eventually. But one thing I think that frustrates my friends with me is that, and again, to give an example, a few months ago, somebody was telling me about a conflict they were having with another friend. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds like they were probably coming from, they're experiencing this, they have this situation going on and they're not getting the right kind of rest, and they expected this, or they might have expected that, and they're like, I came to you, like they didn't come to you. And you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just wanting you to see what they might have been going through their headspace, and it's like, you don't even know this person. You haven't talked to them in years or whatever. And it's like, I understand that, but I can also look at their side just from the things you've said that they got going on at the time and put two and two together. There is correlation. Is it causation? No. And I just told somebody today, just because you're going through a really bad time, does not give you the right to be an asshole. But we all come at our interactions and situations with people from our own experiences and our own thoughts and feelings.
And that's what I think that Varley is. I think Varley is almost having like in this situation, almost always Varley comes at it with, yep, the other person's in the wrong, rah, 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 rah. But this is one of the times where Varley comes in and kind of, she listens and she doesn't judge, but she says, hey, pull your head out of your ass. It's up there. It's right up there. So Varley comes in and asks if she's all right. And Portia says, and I love this, am I to take it as an insult that Mr. Bridgerton thinks I'm too preoccupied with standing as if it's a misdeed to protect this family's place in society? Yes, bitch. Yes, you are overly occupied with standing. It's like,
well, and here's what's funny though. And I get where she's coming from here and why she says, is she supposed to take it as an insult?
Yes,
you take it as an insult. You take it as an insult from a Bridgerton because they do not understand their privilege in society, that they can literally cancel an engagement that the queen paid for a wedding.
Yeah.
And still get to be upstanding citizens. Their son, the very one that called you out.
Well, and that's a really good point. They now have three Bridgertons in a row. ACDC. ACDC. It's it. Oh my God, they went ABC. Because it went DC, A,
or DA.
Went Daphne, Colin, Anthony, Colin.
For what?
Engagement, or not engagements, but courtships. Because we literally had Daphne was all but engaged to the prince. He was literally actively trying to ask the question.
He was debbling.
He was what was the term? Cockled?
No, cuckolded is when you're already married and you bring in another person.
There's a word for it. I'll remember it some other time. But he was like...
He was debbling. I mean, she interrupted her own dance. Colin didn't do it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so I actually, now that I think about it, like the Bridgertons don't have the best track record when it comes, like they do just change their minds on a whim. Daphne was engaged. The queen was like, no, I was set on this. You are doing this. Poor prince. I liked him.
No, and worse, not that they changed their minds. Daphne used the prince to get Simon to get what she wanted from Simon.
And I think society knew it too.
Anthony was using Edwina to hurry up and get a wife that met all of his responsibilities for the Lord while denying his own feelings for her sister. And if we take a line from Pride and Prejudice, he opened her up to caprice within the ton. Like everybody's going to look at her differently now because she was thwarted. Why was she unwanted in the end, right?
Yes. It would ruin her stock in society's eyes. Yes. So we've got Bridgertons who...
Penelope didn't quite do the same thing with Debling. But Colin did the same thing with Marina. Colin's whole thing with Marina was
Portia's eyes,
was for Anthony.
Mm.
Colin's motivations for Marina was to look like an adult to Anthony and to be treated with respect. Look at me, I'm an adult. I'm going to get married.
Mm-hmm. And I think he was invested in it in as far as like when you jump on an idea because you're like, oh, that could be fun, but it's really just your ADHD and not your actual heart. It's just you let your ADHD run away with something.
I think he was invested enough And as a person who had like, I believe he experienced love, but he thought he'd never get that person. I mean, you and I just had the conversation today about even today in 2025, with the way society is, living alone is hard. And like, you know, in a very vulnerable moment, I'm like, do I hold out for love or do I get partnered up for security? Like, women think about that in this time.
Yes,
we do.
especially in our society. So I can actually see Portia's perspective on it, that the Bridgertons are very flippant. They do just change their minds seemingly on a whim, and society won't persecute them for it. So Portia's thinking,
because they're Bridgertons, they're 9 generations deep.
And so Portia's thinking, hey, my daughter's in deep here. She has potentially just compromised herself. Well, not, I mean, someone else did that, but compromised herself. And society's not going to hold these Bridgertons to account for it. Like, and if anyone is going to be held badly in the eyes of the Ton, again, it's going to be me. Because obviously Portia, everything circles back to how it affects her. So she thinks, well,
Right.
Colin might just change his mind, and yet again, it's going to affect me.
Yes, but I think at this point, he has told her that he loves Penelope.
Yes.
And so she believes that to be true. So she doesn't think he's going to do the same thing, right?
Yes, but up until this point, you know.
Yes, up until this point. So I think in this moment, does he think I should take it as an insult, is because it's coming from someone who has good standing, but in her mind doesn't deserve it. What have they done to deserve good standing? I'm clawing to keep my family in a decent standing in society. They just get it handed to them, and they don't try and protect it. They're just out there doing whatever scandal.
And I love that Varley, just ever the hype woman, says, there's nothing wrong with that, Mom. But you can tell that her heart's not truly in it. Like, you can see that she is wanting to say more. But even though she's been with Portia for, let's just guess, like 30 years at this point, you can still see that she's like, how far can I push to say more? Like, I've been here for a really long time. But she also has some serious bite if you push her the wrong way. So she's trying to like support her.
Yeah, she knows now's not the right time yet.
Yes.
Totally.
And that's when Portia continues and says, and how was I to know that it was a love match between them? It's certainly uncommon. Not just for Penelope. Pause, for any of us.
And she didn't say for anyone.
She said
for any of us.
Whilst looking in the mirror. And I sort of feel like they are setting us up to get a prequel series. Like, they're giving us these little tidbits that make us kind of wonder, hey, what was Portia like as a debutante? What was Araminta like as a debutante? What was Violet like? We want to see the prequel to this. So I do kind of wonder whether they are setting it up that way.
I think they've been setting up Portia this whole time, because we have snippets and conversations. One, she is a lady of the ton, yet she knew exactly where to take Marina for the unwed mother's home, right? That is not something that a lady, Violet, would have no idea how to find that place. So there's that. 2, there has been 2 comments. I'm not sure if they're both in season 2. At least one is in season 2 about Cornwall. And they're both in season 2. She goes, would you rather end up in Cornwall? And then later Prudence says, well, I almost think Cornwall would be better than this. And she talks about how the food is gross in Cornwall. Like, how do you know, Portia? How do you know? I think she is from Cornwall. I don't think she is a member of gentle society. I think she was kind of an outskirts, kind of think Mansfield Park, Fanny coming in from a poor relation. Yeah, she was a poor relation that came in and got sponsored, and she had to make the best of her season for herself. And because she came from lack, security became her main goal.
I think she was a Bennett.
Yes and no. I think she was. I mean, you haven't read Mansfield Park or seen the movie, but
no, I have not.
It's the one I told you about with the 3 sisters. One married a lord, a lot of money. One married for love, completely broke with a bunch of kids. And one married a vicar and got her sister to give her and her husband the place on their property to be the vicar there.
That's right. Yeah.
So that when her husband died, she moved into the house, and now she's living a life of luxury, being basically her sister's lady's maid.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
but that line just sort of like, a love match is certainly uncommon, not just for Penelope. And I'm like, she's really trying to justify herself here whilst digging herself deeper, like as if saying, for Penelope
It's not my
especially,
fault for
it
not
should have.
thinking it could happen to her. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's Penelope. Like who would have ever thought that it would happen for her? Like it was a backhanded there was no compliment. It was just a backhand. I was like,
Well, and
oh
I don't necessarily think that Portia is mean on purpose. I think
no.
that Portia had her own upbringing. I think that based on her current stature, she was never as short as Penelope,
Hmm.
but I think that she was always as curvy, and that, they created that because that would have been, we already know that would have been the sexy of the time, but Hollywood has made it the not sexy of the time for those of us in 2025 to believe this mess. But I think that Portia struggled because she wasn't the right body shape,
Hmm.
supposedly. She claimed that in season 1 with her daughters, but what I know from a lot of mothers, especially mothers who are a little narcissistic, is that they, like you said, twist a narrative so that it either makes them look like the hero or the victim. And
I really
somebody in my family is like, none of her kids know any of her mistakes because she feels like she couldn't be a good parent if she opened up and admitted she ever had any.
I
So,
I feel like they are very much setting, and people love this, is like to give Portia's backstory. This is a villain's what do they call it? The villain's origin story. Like
yeah.
the making of it kind of gives like Maleficent vibes. Like people don't just turn out like that. People are made, and I really truly believe that Portia was made to be this way.
Yes,
And
I think Portia was Penelope, and she kept Penelope sheltered. She didn't put her out on society like
yes.
she wanted to, like she should have, because she thought she was protecting Penelope because Penelope was so romantic and she
Yes.
needed to rein her in
Well,
and get her realistic.
even looking like Lady Danbury was like super, super loved anyway. But looking at the Queen, I actually don't feel like many of us. I mean, I liked the Queen because she was a bit of a boss bee, and was quite commanding. But the way that she talked about and to George previously to her Queen Charlotte miniseries wasn't. She seemed very callous. And even the way that she dismissed Daphne and Simon's engagement as, well, that doesn't matter because she can marry you, a prince. So, like, she just didn't always come off that well. But then once we saw her backstory and saw the
Yes.
creation of the Queen as she is today, I think it really softened a lot of our perspectives of it and how she had to harden her armor in order to survive losing her husband while still having him. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
when you lose your husband, you get to grieve and move on, but having them still there is the cruelest of fates because you don't get to grieve in the way that people expect you to because they're like, but he's still there. Like, you
Yep.
still have to do your wifely duties to him. It's really,
She's
really,
living for the breadcrumbs of when he is lucid.
yeah, yeah. And it's like a toxic relationship, but not intentionally, it's really cruel. So I think
But
getting
I also think that also takes us back to that line of, but you're a prince, like she'd be getting a prince. Her love story was she was being sold off
Mhm,
to a prince, right? I have
mhm.
my own mind. I have my own strength. Why are you doing this to me kind of thing? But then she fell in love with the prince, the now king. And I think that for her now, like she's really trying to recreate the love story that she had for someone else because it was so good for her, and she doesn't understand why they keep choosing these people she doesn't pick.
I Unpopular opinion, I think that Daphne could have had a way more stable life with the prince, to be honest.
She wouldn't have had all of the angst. We would have had a
No.
much shorter season 1.
And I think a lot of people go for this, like the highs and lows of a really problematic relationship where like you fight and then you have this amazing makeup sex afterwards, but it's highs and lows, and so
Mm-hmm.
you're constantly throwing each other under the bus to hit the low so that you can hit that high, and it's a very toxic kind of
Mm-hmm.
relationship. So I'm hoping that Daphne and Simon kind of grow out of that as they become more comfortable with each other. But I don't think she would have ever had that with Prince Friedrich. He was so
He was
lovely.
just nice.
He was nice. He was nice, and I felt bad for him in that scenario. He got trampled over by the Bridgertons, so I see Portia's
But
perspective there.
he took it so well though.
That
He
made
was
it
like
worse.
he was such a good dude. And that's why I wanted, like when she said my nephew he's a prince to Edwina.
I so wanted
Like, come
Edwina to
on,
end up with him.
let's give the prince a happy ending.
Yeah.
I mean, and we got to find out that Edwina was married in season 3. Like, I want to know the prince, you know, I mean, obviously, if he's a real person in history like Queen Charlotte, we could just look it up on Google and figure it out. But
Yeah.
I want to see how Bridgerton does it.
Yeah. I
want to know he found someone.
Yeah. So it would have been such an easy way to tie up that love story and make us at least feel better about both of them being kind of trampled over.
The what was meant to be. It was
Well,
it was meant to be with Simon. So
it was
Friedrich
even
could
worse
be with
what Anthony did. He went all the way down to being engaged to the wedding day. Like, that boy didn't just trample her. He got on his horse and were like backed up, like beep, 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 trample over again. His horse was doing a little prance on her heart.
Everybody in the room that looks at facial features and looks at subtle shifts in vibe and whatever would know what really happened. But most people just see that she ran away from the altar, not that he did anything. That's how they lucked out there. I think they lucked out in society because she ran.
Yeah. But I mean, Varley states that that Penelope is certain to understand why she has done what she has done, and that she was only trying to protect her. And I think that Varley says this because she knows Penelope forgives all. And Penelope sees her mother eyes wide open. And as much as she does protect her peace from her mother sometimes, she still loves her mum, and she accepts that she is the way that she is. She just limits her access to her as a way to protect herself, but she does accept her mum as who she is.
Yes. I think of anyone in that house, Varley knows Penelope the best.
I think so too.
And she was trying to bridge the gap for mother and daughter in that moment. Like, you can confide in Penelope. You can tell her how, you know, what you were doing, how you feel, because she will understand. Because Portia gets validation from her older 2 daughters, but they don't actually give her understanding.
Mm-hmm.
They just give her validation. Penelope and her, now that their relationship is repairing, I think we're going to see a much closer relationship, and she is going to be experiencing what everyone else does with Penelope, which is that deep understanding, that being seen, and the joy of, even though she's a feisty little redhead and she gets mad in the moment, you barely know she's mad, and then she's over it and she's like, cool beans, we're friends again.
I think that Portia really appreciates the fact that once she finds out about Lady Whistledown, that she realizes, hey, I can kind of ease up a little bit now because my daughter is just like me in the way that she's a scrapper and she will do whatever she needs to do to survive. My other daughters, I've got to take care of them. I have to protect them. They don't have husbands who can do that for them. Yes, Penelope has a husband that can do it for her, but Penelope can also do it herself. Just like with the way that Portia is, she knows that she was like, at the end of the day, even though Archibald was there, it was always her taking care of the house, the finances. Well, not taking care of the finances, but like, you know what I mean? Like, she would do whatever it needed to be done in the house, but Archibald would not. So I think it's a really, really relaxing feeling for Portia once she does realize, because she's like, hey, this is a girl who knows how to get things done. But this is when Varley continues on, and she does it a little bit hesitantly because she's not entirely sure how it's going to be taken. Very, very interesting that it's the same line that Anthony says to Colin. She says, perhaps she should tell Penelope as much. Like, she should explain to Penelope how she's feeling and why. And why is it that poor Penelope just, everyone has a hard time being straight with her when she is the most accepting person, but she spends her entire life having all these people just treat her poorly, or not that Colin treated her poorly, but like people just not giving her the whole truth. Like, if Colin had said in season 2, I mean, granted they were in a room, but she thought they made intentions, said his intentions, he thought that they said intentions, and then everything got messed up in between because they didn't actually state the whole truth. Everyone is working in these stupid riddles all the time, and everyone's just guessing what everyone's saying, and everything gets mistranslated.
Well, and I'll say this too, like, you know, everybody has their insecurities, and Penelope has a lot. And I think that she doesn't reveal very much of herself. And it's very hard to create connection. Like, yes, Colin has not been truthful with her. Her mother's not been truthful with her, but she has hidden her real self from everyone.
I
Like
think because
nobody has
people aren't
gotten
open
a
with her.
well, and I think she's very much not open with them. Like she's always been secretive, and she is afraid that if she revealed who she truly was, because she, growing up in the home she did, she doesn't feel very much self-worth. So if she reveals this part of herself and she reveals who she truly is, she's not going to feel worthy. They're not going to want her anymore. Like she doesn't even reveal her true self totally to Eloise because she's worried she'll lose Eloise as a friend, who is her closest person. So it's really hard to create connection if you are hiding part of your vibe. Other people are going to hide part of their vibe because we feel that. We feel that maybe you're not going to take this part of me very well, or maybe you won't be able to hold space for it or accept it because there seems to be part of you that hesitates too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Portia's the queen of it and taught all of it.
Yes. So Varley then says, speaking on standing, a connection to the Bridgertons wouldn't hurt at this moment. I told him you weren't here. That solicitor poking into Jack Featherington. He wants to see you again. And I'm like, why does this sound like, oh, he wants to see you again? Like, ooh.
Because he ate a cherry in her drawing room the first time you met her. I think there's going to be some creepy quasi enemies to lovers there.
I hope not. He gives me the heebie-jeebies.
He's kind of greasy.
Small man syndrome is his vibe.
Yeah.
So Portia goes back to staring at the mirror, thinking about how she got here in life. Interesting though that she is wearing lime Featherington green. She has it adorned in her blue flowers and blue and pearl earrings, very Bridgerton-esque, and it almost feels like a small attempt at a support of the union. Like maybe if I just try it out of my hair and jewelry, see how it feels, see how it fits. I'm not gonna.
There's a little bit of there's traces of blue in her dress also, but very minimal.
It feels like the Taylor Swift song. This is me trying. Like she's like, I'm trying here. It's not coming naturally, but I'm trying.
Yeah. So we had a conversation that we were saving for the pod. We both have insights about the flowers. So I want to hear your insight, and then I'm going to tell you mine. So
funny that she's sitting in front of pink roses, which, whilst considering her daughter's union, as pink roses represent admiration, happiness, and love, which seems to be an incredibly fitting symbolism for the moment, very specifically as they are used to represent love between family members.
Okay. And did you say anything about the flowers behind her?
No.
Okay. So here's my insight. Yes, in front of her are pink roses. Okay. Behind her, when you see her in the mirror, behind her are yellow roses. So here's my thought process. It's not about the flower. It's not about the type of flower at all. It's about the color.
Yes.
Who is represented in pink and yellow throughout the season?
Marina and Penelope.
Mostly Penelope, though.
Yes.
Like Marina, and interestingly enough, I saw another TikTok by Savvy talking about the engagement scene where Colin announces his engagement to Marina and how she's in yellow and how she's standing in such a way that it should have been Penelope there. And you kind of get that idea from the way the families are. But she also talks about the swapping of colors. But in the very first scene that Penelope's in, that is not the debut, when it's the drawing room scene with Araminta is visiting, she is wearing a pink dress with or a yellow dress with pink accents. And Penelope often has costuming that is yellow and pink together. And when she is at her first ball that her mama does not go to, her dress is pink. And she wants Colin to notice because she feels feminine. This is who she wants to be, romantic and pink and girly. But her mother puts her in yellow. So in those moments where she's wearing pink and yellow together, that's her trying to peek out of the identity that her mother is creating for her, because she sees herself as pink, romantic, and girly. Her mother puts her in yellow, and she doesn't view yellow in such a good way, right? So in this moment, Portia is facing the pink. The yellow is in her rear view in the mirror. So this is symbolic of telling us that in this moment, Portia is accepting that her daughter is her own person and has her own identity, and her thoughts and feelings and ideas of who her daughter would have or should have been are behind her.
Well, interestingly, so apparently back then, yellow roses were meant to be given they were specifically given by friends as a universally known as a symbol of friendship. Most people give them to each other to celebrate birthdays or to celebrate love between two good friends. Roses symbolize everything from I love you to I care for our friendship, and the colors vary from very romantic red to more energetic oranges. But they can mean friendship, happiness, like some way to celebrate a good event transpiring. So I actually wonder whether these were sent to her by someone. Because it's obviously the morning of the engagement announcement. They could have been sent to her as a, hey,
Well, it's the
congratulations,
afternoon now, so somebody could have
it had enough time to say, hey, congratulations, your daughter's engaged. That's your last daughter, like off the mark.
Well, and speaking of the meanings there, that also brings me into, like, if we're looking at what is ahead versus what is behind, she has always thought, like, she didn't even think they were friends at one point, but she has thought this season that Colin was just a friend,
Yes.
that they were just friends. And now she realizes that Colin, or knows that Colin loves her. So that idea of them just being friends is also behind her. But I think the Penelope that she had tried to groom all these years and create herself is now in the past. And the Penelope that Penelope created for herself, that pink romantic love and adoration of the pink rose, is now in the forefront. It's right in front of her face.
Yeah, no, I very much agree with all of that. So I think we've seen enough stuff, a background on like Instagram, on the Shondaland website, that shows these things aren't just coincidence. Almost always the props people have really thought about. Like, they're not just like, oh yeah, this is pretty, we'll just chuck this here. They actually really, really think about, and they get paid a lot of money to think about all this symbolism to create Easter eggs for those like us who like to deep dive into those weird little details.
We appreciate it
so much because I'm a little geek.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. So we've finished our analysis of that scene, and so we kind of want to talk a little bit now about Portia's Portiaing.
Okay, and so having come from a theater background, I sought out a tool that we can use as an outline. It's an actual character analysis that you might have to sit down and do in a theater class, or some actors actually write this out, or it's kind of the background work they do. Let's think of Luke Newton saying, as soon as I saw that coat, I imagined Colin being on a ship, huddled in that coat like a blanket, and that's why it's all wrinkly and stuff. And he put in backstory, and this is the exercise. Did you put you're on mute, honey?
And someone shared to our Facebook page on the Messenger ages ago the whole backstory from Dabbling as well, that Sam Phillips had written himself.
Yeah, so actors do this, and I found one, and we're going to use it as a kind of an outline. We're not looking at Portia as a character that we will play and what we think. We're going to see what we can glean from Polly Walker's interpretation of her using this character analysis. Okay, so we're going to start with Portia's physical characteristics. So think of her voice. What does the way Polly Walker portrays Portia and I would say, like, you can even look at how she's written in the book. I think Polly Walker changed Portia a lot.
Oh, a lot.
From the book.
Portia in the book, to me, was a little bit more dim. Not very astute. She was very gossipy, but she wasn't conniving, she wasn't cunning, she wasn't in a bad relationship per se. I don't think it was a loving marriage, but I think it was what it was. They both lived their lives, but I don't think Archibald in the books was a nasty, gambling, philandering.
Archibald was already gone when the book
That's
started.
the thing. Like, but I mean, from how she talks about love and all that kind of thing, it just, they were what they were, but they weren't what they were in the show,
They were just a kind of a marriage of
convenience.
Business.
Yeah.
And for me, like, if I'm going to talk about the voice of Portia from the book, the one word I would describe it as is shrill, because the way she comes off is
Mrs. Bennett.
Yes, like Penelope, like the way we were saying Penelope when we were doing the book reading, like Felicity, like she's just shrill, like she wants to be heard. She chooses loud over substance when she wants to be heard. But I think that in terms of Polly Walker's version of show, I think that she's secretive. She's very controlled. She all the time physically, as she's talking, to stop herself so that she thinks of the correct words to use, she puts her finger over her lips often or up by her chin. Like, you see her with her hand near her face or her lips a lot. And that is a subconscious, for an actor, it's not so much subconscious, but for a person, that's a subconscious body language that you are trying to hold something in and you are trying to filter yourself. And Portia very much wants to control the narrative. So she speaks in a very controlled manner. And you see her prowess in this, like when she's talking to the Cowpers at the garden party, and she's trying to keep her, she has to fix what her girls have already spilled, right? And she's frustrated with what information they've given away.
Yes.
And also how she interacts with Colin after the takedown, when she's trying to make the best out of this situation. She's very slow and controlled. And I used to joke, like, I know I have it too. My mother had it. My mother had the telephone voice versus her mother voice. And Portia very much does this when they walk in and she's given Penelope the side, talking out her neck about, oh, gosh, the home is so plain. They decorated it so plain. And then she's like, where's your mother? I must talk with her about the decorations. Like, they're so great. Like, she definitely has her masked self and her unmasked self. Yeah. But she's so slow and controlled in how she speaks. And when she speaks at home, she's a lot more authoritative, sure of what she's saying, but she also kind of uses that shrillness a little bit, like, Penelope. Like, how could you even think of doing that kind of thing, you know? But I love that Polly has created those two characters, that there very much is at home Portia and public Portia.
Very much so. So Portia, for me, I think comes across as very wanting to come across as, I have it all together. I'm assertive. I know what I want. I know what I'm doing. You will not cross me. I'm very not bordering on masculine.
She's a fake it till you make it.
I'm the boss.
She comes off as fake it till you make it, but she puts out enough pomp and circumstance that she doesn't allow you time to question.
Like, it's quite interesting, even the way that she immediately adjusts herself for someone who is of much higher standing, aka Dibbling. You know, she comes from Archibald, where she has no problems telling him how things are and how he is to act, and you know what I mean. Like, she has no problems being the bossy boots in that relationship. But when it comes to Dibbling, she's like, oh no, we must make ourselves seem meek and controllable, because that's all a husband wants in a wife. You can show yourself later, but for now, you need to give off this perspective. So it's quite interesting.
She very much says that to her about Colin.
Yes.
Up until a certain time, it fades, but you have to make him believe he is the best thing ever. Yeah, he's in charge. He's everything, at least for a time. Yes. Like, you could tell she was taught the debutante playbook too, but for her, it was a means to an end. It was step 1, step 2, step 3, get married. Step 1, you know what I mean? Like, it was never like she makes it sound like it's a owner's manual. Like, you get an owner's manual with a new piece of equipment and you just follow the instructions. So let's put for the sake of time, we're going to put these next 3 together, which is posture, walk, and physical description. Like, obviously we have the costuming that plays into Portia, the very bright colors, and the way her dresses are cut. She, even at her age, her cleavage is accentuated. She's curvy. She shows that. Very corseted, though. I think that her corset is about tighter than everyone else's. And that plays into how she walks and sits and whatnot.
Yes, I think it's very much like she still wants to appear a certain way in society, whereas the other women who are now married, although then again, Violet also in season 1 had some, my mum was like, whoa, that's a lady of a certain age, very on display.
Well, and I think that it was kind of a way, in season 1, I took it as a way they depicted single women, because Violet was single even if she wasn't looking.
Yes.
And I think they gave that look to Portia also, though even though she was married, she was like a single mother.
Yes.
Because Archibald was no help. So I think that she gave off the look of an unmarried woman because she very much felt unmarried. She felt like she had 4 children, not 3.
She had 3 children and a roommate.
And I felt like her corset to me seems very stiff and pulled tight, like
Controlled.
it's controlled. It's to hold her in, like she's holding herself in,
Yes.
so that she fits in, but she feels very uncomfortable in society. She
Mhm.
feels like her place in society is not set and comfortable. She must continue to be uncomfortable, like she's on edge, she's hyper vigilant always.
Yeah. And I definitely see that. I think that she, wants to always be perceived as having everything together. So every single hair. And we even see her in season 1, like, was it looking at gray hairs or something? And she's like, oh no, like my age is showing, like my imperfections are showing. When Varley walks in and she catches her like looking at something in her hair and then she like covers it up.
That's possible. I didn't get to rewatch season 1 in our preparation for doing this, but I do believe like when she normally looks at her, takes a good hard look at herself, like she did in the scene, she is seeing the flaws, if that makes sense. Like when she sees herself, she sees flaws first.
Yes. Whereas because I think she's the only one, she's the only person who she will ever allow her flaws to be seen by. And even then, rarely, because she's like, if I let anyone see weakness, they will trample over me with it. They will use it against me. Even her daughters, because her daughters, although not knowingly, as you said, gave out information at that garden party that was not supposed to go out. And so she's like, look, I can't even trust my daughters. Like even they will create scenarios
to understand,
I'm going to have to fix. So she trusts no one. And that's an incredibly lonely life.
Yeah, she very much is alone and feels lonely, even with a partner, even with all her kids. Like there's nobody she can truly confide in. And I think she does confide the most in Varley, but I think there's even parts of herself that she's afraid of Varley seeing. Well, and I think that changed from season 1 to season 2 when they were in the potato famine of 1814. I think that I'm going to call it that forever
it's
now.
Forever going to be that.
I think that is where her and Varley really developed that close relationship, because at the beginning of season 3, we have Varley going, Mom, may I speak my mind? And she's like, you always do. Right? Like, because Portia got poor for a while, her and Varley ended up on the same level. And I don't think we're going to lose that level. I think they're just always going to be eye to eye now.
Well, and I think that although they weren't quite on the same level, I think that in staying, even when she wasn't being paid, it showed Portia that, hey, I do actually have someone in my corner who's with me through it thick and thin. And I think that she also got a loyalty. I think she also got a little carried away in season 2 with the thought of cousin Jack, who was also as schemy and willing to do whatever it took as she was. And I think that for a moment she got swept up in that feeling of someone sees me desirable, someone sees my cunning. They see me and my cunning, and they find that attractive. And obviously Jack was just trying to seduce her to rip her off as well. I don't think he had any intentions of actually, Portia. I think she was just another mark to him, as they would say in the conning world. But
whether he was or he wasn't, I still think that she sacrificed the potential of it being real for her kids. And I think that is where she realized her and Penelope were similar. They were the same kind of fighter, is when she was chastising Penelope for being whistled out all this time. When she first found out, she goes, the things you said about the family, about me, about yourself. When she realized that when Penelope was not afraid of sacrificing herself for others.
Yeah, for those who she cared about.
They had that same kind of
I think
scrappiness.
That was almost a more painful thought for Portia, though, was she didn't talk badly about herself for our benefit. She threw us all under the bus for their benefit. And I think that would have been a sting in itself when she realizes that hey, Penelope has always chosen the Bridgertons over us, which is Portia's worst nightmare, is ever having anyone choose, because she's like, hey, I've chosen you girls over everything, and you're willing to choose them over me. She's a
poverty snob. Like, and that's not the best way of putting it, but it is. It's like what I was talking about before, when you have that working class family, or whatever, that working class family vibe, the lower totem pole vibe, barely in society, by the skin of our teeth, slums of Beverly Hills. We live in the worst part. We live in hotels in Beverly Hills. We live in these terrible apartments that are 1 bedroom and my dad's sleeping on a sofa bed just so we can say we're from Beverly Hills. That's completely a movie. Natasha Lyon's in it. I love it. David Krumholtz. Go watch it. But they're all in it together. And that's how Portia is. And she's snobby. She's up, they're downwardly snobby because of their privilege, but she's upwardly snobby because of their privilege.
Yes.
And
it kind of reminds me of those families where one, they come from a lower standing society, low socioeconomic area or whatever. Not that Portia is, but and then one
But she's the low of that socioeconomic level.
But then one of those family marry up, and then it's like, oh, well, you think you're better than me? It's very much that vibe. The second that they marry up, they can never be happy for them. It's automatically, oh, well, you must think you're better than me now that you've married up. And obviously your new family are so much better because they have money.
And I think that part of their repair for their relationship is the fact that, yes, she mothered the new Lord Featherington, but she still could have chosen to live in a home apart with Colin, but she came back to Featherington House to raise the Lord Featherington there so her mother could keep a place.
Yeah.
So
very much.
I think that was a big part of their repair.
And they could have said, hey, Portia, you can go live in the love shack. You can go live in the love shack.
You need a dower house.
Maybe it will encourage you to find your own spouse. Like, off you go. It's got good luck over there.
Or like in the Gilded Age, this last season, the one daughter gets married off to a duke in England and they go back to England to his estate, but his spinster sister's been running it all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets to the point where her mother has to come over because she's miserable because this sister's just running circles around her. And she's like, I raised you better than this. You know your power. Start using it. Make him love you. Make him choose you. You should be running this house. And that's exactly what she does. And they end up booting out the sister to go find her own house. It's very much the same thing.
Yeah.
So I know women don't have quote unquote occupations, but occupation is just what you do to pass the time also. Yeah. So what would we consider Portia's actual work? What is her occupation?
Management. She's in management.
She's the true lord of that house.
Yes.
She's managing everything. And I think, this terrible, it's the worst way of saying it, but she's ultimately also she's a madam. Like, what would you call a person that she's basically matchmaking for her daughters, but not in the ways of love. I want to say trafficking them, but that's terrible.
There's the TV series. It's a French one. Also. It's in another language. And I told everyone to go watch it, and I can't even remember what it's called.
But basically, like her occupation is being the lord of Featherington House, doing all that business stuff that needs to be done. But she is also managing the lives of her daughters and contracting them out to their best match because a goal of a mama in that time frame was to get every daughter married off so that they were no longer a burden on the estate.
I need to find
I know you need the loop. Keep searching, you'll find. Quote it all the time. I quote that all the time.
What the frick is it called?
We pause our regularly scheduled program for our neurospicy to neurospice because I understand the importance of needing to close the loop. You start a loop, you must close it.
The lady's companion.
Oh, yeah.
A chaperone.
Well, yeah.
It's called a lady's companion, and that they were people that were supposed to find
help them find a match. Like when your actual parents couldn't go with.
Yes.
You could hire a lady's companion.
Or if, say, the woman of the house had passed away and the dad's like, I don't know how to do this. Do your thing.
Right.
Yes. So in the TV series, The Chaperone, really like it. Really good TV series. Go check it out if you're waiting for Bridgerton to come out.
There's actually a TV show, I think it's on Netflix, might be Prime, called The Lady's Companion. I think it's like a English same.
This one's similar. I think it's in French, but they've voiced over I think it's voiced over in also love Lydia Poet. Yeah, she just chaperoned.
Yeah.
And I love it because it actually gives me very one of the daughters gives me very Eloise vibes. So there's a man, he's got three daughters and he's very, very wealthy, and I think he's a lawyer or something, like Bridgerton level wealthy. He's got three daughters and he wants them to get married off. They're all coming into marriageable age. And so she's brought on to marry off the oldest one after a big engagement falling apart scandal situation. And she ends up helping the second daughter go to medical school, which gives me very Little Women kind of a vibes, like women who are pushing the boundaries of society, and they're like, I don't care what you think of me. I'm going to get my education because I have a right to an education.
Yeah, because I think Penn and all her money now is going to sponsor Eloise in some way for something, because what else is she going to do with that money?
Yes. Yeah, there's been actually a lot of chats.
Because they've changed the finances so much, because in the books, she didn't need the whistle down money because of Colin's money, but they didn't have Little Lord Featherington. So she said she wanted to set her money aside for their daughters. Well, now that doesn't need to happen necessarily. It still can, but I think something's gonna benefit Eloise.
I think she's gonna set aside money for her sister's daughters
That could be too. Yeah.
For little Philomena.
Philomena and questionable P name. We don't know it yet.
Yeah, it'll be a
It's out there somewhere in the Bridgerverse. Somebody said the name, but it was never actually spoken in the scene.
No, like maybe it's Patricia. We'll go with little Patty.
I do not want a daughter of Prudence.
The Dankies.
How dare you?
You're like,
Patricia Dankworth.
Look, Benedict already sullied my name once on this show. I'm not having it a second time.
You have officially put the cherry on top of this shit of a Sunday by saying Patricia is the daughter of Prudence. That's official.
Hey, it's a maraschino cherry. I was just making sure you're getting your daily fiber intake, okay?
It at least better be a chocolate covered maraschino cherry to go. I need something today. Something.
For today, gentle listeners, we do need to wrap this up. I think we do want to cover. I'm sure there's more that on her.
There's way more on this.
I know, but it's 20 minutes before I've got to pick up my child, and it's a 12-minute drive, and I need
okay. Well, let's say this, listeners. Please give us your feedback. Go to our Facebook page, hop over to the Tangent Squad community chat, or find us wherever you're listening. Comment on this on YouTube. Let us know if you would like to continue the character analysis. Some of the things we would discuss are her interests and beliefs and ambition, where she's from, who her parents might be, some of her favorite things, symbols associated with her, feelings toward other characters, and we would give one-word answers, her objectives through the seasons, including an overarching super objective, her obstacles, and the tactics she used to overcome them. If you are interested in hearing more about Lady Portia Featherington, just let us know.
If you're enjoying our podcast, I don't even know where to jump in now. If you're enjoying our podcast, please remember to click like, subscribe, and leave a comment wherever you are listening.
And once again, thank you for listening to the musings of two mad women.
Yours truly, Tash the Kiwi.
And Lady Patty. Well, I guess I can't have a mental breakdown if I'm already running mad now, can I?